Hi everyone, you are listening to YachtFemme on Yachting International Radio, where we discuss women in yachting. Welcome to YachtFemme, where we talk about the women that make the yachting industry. I'm your host, Andrea Tagliaferro. Learn who they are, how they got into yachting, and what they do today. Gemma is the creative mind behind the Yacht Stew, a community-based educational blog and brand for all yachties. Gemma joined the industry almost 9 years ago and now works as a full-time chief stewardess in a world cruising charter yacht. She met her husband on board and now they travel the world together.
I am super excited to have you on the podcast. As I was just mentioning before, I am a big fan. I am so happy I found you on someone else's social media following. And here's Gemma. Can you say a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, that was very kind. Thank you. As you said, my name is Gemma. I've been in the yachting industry now since 2011. I was initially only going to do a season, pay off my student loans, and it's been 8.5 years now. So, or 8 years, coming up 8 years. So it's gone really, really well. I met my husband on a boat several years ago, so we're now married, and he works with me. And I guess I started the Yacht Stew out of this place of feeling like there was a lot of isolation in the industry sometimes. And that's not to put it down in any way. It's just I was on a boat that was on the west coast of Canada. That is not a yachting hub. And I really wanted this platform where I could connect with other people. I could feel as though I was being creative again, because I'd been on that boat for 3 years. So I kind of felt like I knew what was going on. There weren't a lot of surprises. And I just wanted, that place to connect and have creativity and just give that kind of fire again. And so that's kind of how the Yacht Stew came about. And the first 6 months, I didn't show a photo of my face. I did not share my name. I just wanted it to be about a community. I did not want to have anything, to be based around myself. And then slowly but surely, I guess I came out of my shell and told everyone who I was. And it's kind of evolved from an Instagram now to a blog and so on and so forth. So it's been pretty cool to watch the growth of something that was just, me trying to, I guess, make more friends in the industry and get to know some other people.
I personally, I feel the same way. It's been amazing to be able to connect with people. It is an industry, even though we travel a lot, because everybody travels a lot. When you land to the dock, nobody's actually there. So it's hard to find common ground. And it's also depends on the size of your vessel. If you're one you're the only stew or it's only two of you, sometimes it's like share those experiences when you're actually alone, and people that haven't worked as crew don't understand that everybody has their own role, and really depends on the culture of the yacht. If it's more of a community or like sort of like a big company where you just do this and you just do that, and there's not a family kind of feel. But I want to go back to that because it's very interesting that you were geographically nowhere near where the yacht is in. So you were saying, where in Canada are you from?
So I'm from Vancouver. I was born in the UK and I moved to Canada in 2002. And then I got incredibly lucky and ended up on a boat that was based out of Vancouver Island. So I was one of the lucky ones that got to go home kind of once a month on a weekend, which does not happen in yachting. But I think one year we saw 2 other yachts and we were like, whoa, 2. So far from a hub, it's insane. But it was incredible. It was an amazing 3 years.
That's amazing. I actually felt the same way. Once I was Bahamas, which you would think, but we were in one of those remote places and nobody was around us. And I screamed to the chef, hey, come, run. And he's like, what's happening? I'm preparing dinner. I was like, come, people. Over there, one of us.
I know. It's like after an Atlantic crossing when you finally see land, and it's something that's just so surreal and so exciting.
Yes. So for the people that actually are not crew and are really foreign to your stories and your journey, one of the biggest things I've heard is about making relationships last. And at least from your blog, I read that you saw your now husband through a porthole and then got the courage to say hi or something like that. Can you tell us about that?
It makes me sound like such a creep. But yes,
No,
I did.
no.
I saw him. It was 2013. I saw him through the window, and I took up running to try and get his attention after work, and he did not notice me. And then, yeah, eventually one night, one of my deckhands saw him in the street, was like, listen, there's a girl inside. She has a thing for you. You should go in. And my husband's quite shy and certainly not someone that would ever act on that. And I was just very lucky that he walked in. And we have been together every day since. We've been together 6.5 years now.
Wow, that's amazing.
I think for us, we were really fortunate that the first kind of 6, 7 months of our relationship, we were long distance. So we kind of built a friendship first, which was great. And then through that, we learned to prioritize our time for one another. Because being on different boats, I was also working a night shift that whole season. So I started work at 7 p.m. and I finished at 10 a.m. in the morning. So that in the mix of everything just made it really difficult. So I think in that time, we really learned to prioritize, like, how important it was to us to, chat, to remain in constant communication. And then when we were together, that was it. There was no phones, there was nothing. It was just the two of us, which I find is really, really important. And now that we work together, we've been fortunate. We've pretty much always worked together. This is the first boat I joined separately, but I joined in my interview knowing that Ben would be joining shortly after. And I think for us, it's super important when you join a boat together to have that boundary of crew and couple. Like, this crew would never see us during work in the crew mess, together. It's just not, for some people that's fine, but that is not my cup of tea. I had a relief captain that was on board once for, I think he was on board 2 or 3 weeks, and he saw my engagement ring and he's like, oh, it must be hard working away from your fiance. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, do you know Ben, the bosun? I'm like, that's who I'm marrying. And he had no idea, because for us, we just keep it so separate. And that works really well for us, because then our time together is our time together. When we're in our cabin watching a movie, that's our time. When we're off the boat and go for a walk, but then we still, always, I go out with the girls, he goes out with the guys. We hang out with the crew. I think it's just finding that balance of what works for you. For us, having a date night once a week or every 2 weeks, that's perfect. For others, they maybe need more time. That's totally fine. But I think going into a job, having that expectation of you're going to spend every living moment together, I can't wait to hold hands in the crew mess, is just so unrealistic. And you're going to make your crew uncomfortable, and you don't want to do that. That's just not fair. Not everyone needs to know everything about everything I do with my relationship. So I think, yeah, that boundary is super important.
Well, it sounds like a very healthy way of seeing this, because, again, those that haven't been on board do not know. Not only, they work together, no, the crew quarters are tiny, and then they spend every second together. And not only do they spend the time together, they also depend as a unit, as a team. So you're like constantly communicating. So it can get a little bit one person on top of the other.
Yeah.
Not in your sense, but
yeah, 100%, definitely. Yeah, massively. So that was kind of a big part of me going into yachting as well, was A, pay off my student loans, because, oh my word, they were ridiculous. But B, I used to be a wedding planner prior to yachting, and quickly realized I didn't love it. And just, I'm someone that needs to create, but also be logical in my thinking. And that's why events for me work so well. It's so organized, and there's just that really good balance. So when I joined my first boat, I just thought, if I stick to this, this could really be it. Because the way I view it is, when guests come on board, every moment has to be meticulously planned out, with backup plans upon backup plans upon backup plans. So I basically view every guest trip as one really long event. And for me, it's great, because I still have to delegate to my team, which I would if I had my own event company anyways. And, there's still jobs that we don't necessarily always want to do, but have to get done. And I don't know, it makes me come alive. It's so good. And it's a great kind of balance for me to have, the travel, but also have the event management side of things.
No, I think definitely it seems like you were able to take what you learned academically and find a way to practice this in the real world in a way that you actually enjoyed. So many people go to university and when they finish, they were like, but I like studying it, but I don't like doing anything with it.
You know, July 4th for one owner I worked for was the biggest day of the year. So by the end of March, I had already prepped everything just in case multiple trips came up, and I knew you just kind of have to utilize your time. When you're quiet, this is when I'm going to prepare for this. When we're busy, I know it's already done, which not everyone has the luxury of doing. But if I can, I do, and I will.
I actually wanted you to explain to the viewers your title at the boat.
So I'm the chief stewardess on board. I have a team of 7, including myself. So I look after 6 stewardesses. And I guess hierarchy-wise, under myself, we have a second stew. She steps into my role when I am away or, maybe occupied with the guests. The girls know to go to her. And then I also have a head of housekeeping who looks after our housekeeping team on board. And sometimes we, have an extra girl or two, and sometimes if people are away, we kind of have less. So my role kind of encompasses organizing and maintaining the interior to the absolute highest standard possible. We are also a charter vessel, so we have to also meet the needs of our owners and our charter guests. Just essentially providing impeccable service without any questions asked. Always knowing what the guest wants before they know what they want, and anticipating every move. That is so important. Training the girls up to that standard where you feel comfortable leaving them with someone who could ask for anything at a drop of the hat, because you know that they're confident, reacting with guests. And it's a lot of administrative things as well. On here, I do spend a lot of time sitting here at my desk. But it's a great balance. I've kind of worked my way up as chief stew on different size boats, which has been really nice to see different things. I'm not active in housekeeping anymore, and I'm very confident in my head of house to run that, which is quite a nice change. I pop in every now and again, but I fully trust her. And yeah, I think I'm fortunate I'm in a position now where I am always like, how can we make this better? How can we improve? How can we train the girls in this, and this, and that's kind of a huge part of my job that I don't know if, many boats necessarily always encourage, because they don't always have the time, but I'm fortunate to have the time on here to really see what I can do to make this as good as possible for every member of my team.
That is awesome. Having the time to actually look back and see how can things move forward and improve. If you are already the chief stewardess, what would be the next step? Is there a next step?
Some choose to go to the purser route. We don't actually have a purser, so I do some of the purser duties on board. But that is, I don't know if it's necessarily something I would be interested in myself. I'm very happy being chief stew, and some would argue that purser maybe isn't a step up from chief stew, because it is a role that is quite different. So I think for me, this is kind of the end goal of the position I'm in. I'm very happy. The only thing that maybe would change in years to come would be the boat or the size of the boat.
What do you see yourself in 5 years, for example?
In 5 years, quite honestly, I probably will not be on a boat anymore. I think.
Really?
Yes. No. I will have done. If I do another 5 years, that means 13 years in the industry. And no, I don't think I would still be on a boat. And I've never really said it out loud publicly. But yeah, no. In 5 years' time, I don't think I will be.
So thankfully, there's a lot of people that work on this, and there's tons of now consultants that help crews get off the boats and sort of guide them through what would be a world on land.
Yeah.
You already have a plan, your exit plan, as they call it.
Yes, I do. Most of which I am keeping quite private. Just I'm kind of, this is a big year as I'm kind of developing the Yacht Stew more, and I just kind of will be announcing things, I guess, as I can see a proper plan. I'm not someone who ever shares anything without knowing X, Y, Z. But yeah, I think long term, my passion and my drive and what gives me endless joy now is training other girls, especially those stepping into chief stew. The girls that message me on Instagram, and then eventually I'm like, here, just call me on WhatsApp, it's way easier. helping them go through that, that's what brings me joy. And yeah, I think if I could find a way to help more people, that would be awesome. Because the Yacht Stew has always been a free platform to help as many as possible. And I love it. I think it's great. And there's so many resources out there for green stews, you know, those are just getting in the industry, but stepping up from second stew to chief stew is a huge transition. And I didn't feel as though I necessarily had as much support in that time that I probably needed.
Mm-hmm.
And my first season, I look back now and cringe a little bit because I just think I have learned so much since then, thank goodness. And so, yeah, I just think there's kind of this missing gap of, hey, I would love to help you because there's not a whole lot of people around that are, you know, willing to. So, yeah, I think we'll see somewhere along those lines, and yeah, just kind of take it as it comes.
That sounds great. I'm sure you'll find a way to monetize and move forward to digital marketing of the Yacht Stew, which you've done very well. But now, like you said, it's always been free. Maybe when I get to those 5 years, it won't be free. Therefore, you can sustain yourself.
Yeah.
What has been your proudest moment in the industry where you're like, yes, I'm Gemma, look at me. And what would be like the opposite day that you were like, yeah, that was me. So
Oh gosh, I think best day was probably when I won Top Chief Stew 2018 at the first Acrew Awards. After I did my acceptance speech, I actually cried at my table. I'm a little bit of an emotional person, but it was just pretty. It blew my mind, for starters. And I checked, and none of the girls on my boat even knew about the awards. So I still don't know who nominated me. And I have no idea how many people voted for me. And the video was, you know, the interview was supposed to be like 3 minutes long, and mine was 10 because I love to chat and I just had so much to say with all these questions. So I was like, oh, they're not even going to get through my video submission because all I do is ramble. And I won, and it was incredible. It was really like amazing. And it happened 3 months after I got married. So I was kind of in this really good, amazing headspace of just, yeah, it was amazing.
That's good. Now with the other one, tell us, where has been that moment where you're like, I cannot believe I did that?
I feel like I have those moments daily where I'm like, oh, I'm such a numpty. Oh gosh, what have I done? Honestly, and I think it's kind of hard to explain, but in my first season as Chief Stew, I really struggled with a junior stew we had who was green. And at the end of the season, I was like, oh, I actually did not give her the time of enough time to properly train her. And for me, I was like, that is just a really, it was a big weight for me to carry, I think, as a first time chief stew, having a green stew that literally had no idea about the industry, about boats, nothing. And I just got so overwhelmed that I wasn't able to think logically and be like, okay, we're going to start with the basics. This is what we're going to do. And at the end of the season, I just thought, I was like, you know what? I actually genuinely really let her down. And she wasn't, I mean, she said at the end, she's like, I'm actually not really interested in yachting. I just thought it would be kind of something fun to do for a few weeks. So that was lucky in that, you know, she wasn't keen on doing it full time. And she's very, very happy in a different career now. But that was definitely a moment for me of, oh, that sucked.
No.
Learning curve, though. Learning curve for sure.
I understand where you're coming from, but that was not as bad as you thought. There's worse stuff, like me almost crashing the tender. That was way worse.
I think something that's really, really important is so simple. Just listen. When your chief stew tells you what to do, she's telling you because she knows the boat, because she knows your capabilities, and she's trying to teach you and train you. I think so many come in with these expectations and attitudes of, you know, I'm going to make this amount of money. I'm only going to get on this size boat. I already know how to do laundry. I've done laundry at home. Doing laundry at home versus doing laundry for 25 crew, two very different things. And It's our jobs to train you, but you need to be willing to listen and absorb. And I think too, it's important to speak up as well. If you learn in a different manner than just getting a folder, then tell them, hey, I actually do a little bit better hands-on. Is it possible I could learn this way? That, from my girls, is the best, because I always say to them, I need to know how you learn best so we can teach you the best way possible. So I make them service folders, but I walk them through the whole folder. We just did afternoon tea, for example. So I printed out the history for them. We spoke about it, how we're going to set it up. I had them pull everything from the boat, set it all up in the main salon, and then talk about how we were going to serve it. They then spoke about it themselves. They all had different points to share, and then they put it away. So we're covering all these different learning styles. So I think that's important, to speak up if you feel like you're not quite getting it and you know your best learning style, share that, because that's important for us to know to help you. And don't be that drunk idiot. You know, I mean, oh my word. And don't post stuff on social media that you shouldn't either. Those two come hand in hand. That you would be surprised the things I've seen from green crew who are maybe doing a trial and weren't quite successful.
I want to wrap up and say thank you so much for coming and taking the time out of your busy schedule. You didn't see that because we will cut it, but some people had to go in even into the stateroom she was in because she is working. When you're on the boat, you're actually always working. So thank you so much for that. And I look forward for you guys to learning more about Gemma. She has so much to offer. And as you know, she's just dying to teach you guys more and more each day. So thanks again.
Well, thank you. It's quite a pleasure to be as one of your first podcasts, which is very exciting.
Yeah, thank you. It's getting better, we promise.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Okay, bye.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to YachtFemme. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and comment. Your comment will help us reach a broader audience. And don't miss the next episode.